Alright, today's video we are going to talk about the near perfect loot system they have made for seasonal stuff. This applies purely to seasonal stuff. There's stuff they can do for other areas and stuff, but this is the seasonal stuff specifically. And I think they're so close to perfection here where it actually benefits. So, if you don't know, the Tomb of Want, how it works is once you activate, you get like 4 charges, and then when you upgrade so far, you get 5, and upgrade so far, you get 6. But the most you can have is 6 charges, as it shows here, right? And this is awesome, except for last season, where it was a tonic system, I could have this going for 120 minutes, which is 2 hours, and I get way more than 6, which is a lot better in the sense of loot. 2 hours, way more than 6, whereas this is only 6, and yeah, it's pretty easy, but, you know. So I think they should mix these two together. I don't think the timer system was bad. I think the timer system was bad at the beginning, because if you didn't upgrade stuff, or you didn't realize to upgrade stuff, then your timer was trash. You can upgrade all the way up to 2 hours, which is awesome. But when you didn't upgrade it, it was really bad. So they need to upgrade the baseline to be a lot higher, and then the timing system is fine, but then have it where it's a bar. Because technically there's a bar in the background of the tonic system. After you get so many kills, you're guaranteed a weapon. Or do so many Crucible matches, blah, blah, blah. It's a mix of stuff. But so there's indirectly a bar in the background, which is what we see this season. So why not add the timer and the bar together so I can get more than 6 weapons, but then I also have a long time to farm it. So I don't have to constantly, because in one nether activity, you can get this done if you're just clearing ads and stuff and just doing the extra stuff. If you go fast, you usually only get a few done, like 3 of them done per run. Every time you complete an area, it gives you one. Sometimes you get a little extra, but most of the time that's how it works. But if you're actually doing stuff, then you get more. And then if you're actually playing Crucible activities, depending on how well I do in Crucible, I can get 2 to 3 of these done potentially in one time. You get one done because the game ends, and if you get enough kills in the game, you get another one. And if you just were like a shy away from getting it, then you can get technically 3. It's potentially possible. It is rare, but it is possible. But that's my point, is you can finish it pretty quickly. If I go to do strikes and stuff, I can finish it pretty quickly. Gambit, pretty quickly. So then I'm constantly going back in my menu. So to alleviate your menu in and out, then if they add the timer, but add a huge timer, so not the whole 2-hour one like it has now, but it should upgrade to the 2-hour system. But it should start at like maybe, I don't know, 40 minutes at the lowest end. I don't remember exactly what it started at. Maybe it started at that, I don't remember. But it should be at least, 40 minutes, maybe an hour at beginning. I think an hour would be fine, honestly, to start with. And in that hour, you're filling up this bar, and you can visually see the bar based on kills, based on completion of activities. You can actually see it like you do for this for the Tome of Want. So together. But then, I want the Tome of Want to have again, these wouldn't be called these exact things in the future, but bear with me. The other thing is, so if I equipped, like, the auto rifle, right? Let's say I really want to focus the auto rifle. I don't, but let's say I do, right? And you go and focus it like this, right? So now I have a bar. I have a timer for like 2 hours. I have a bar that constantly shows me the progression of it. And they make it, about the same speed it is now. So it goes up relatively quick. And maybe a little longer since you make it last longer. But, basically the same. But then also because I put on the auto rifle, if I go play like the nether, right? Every encounter I complete in the nether will focus me getting the auto rifle as a bonus. And then also Crucible games, the weapons have a chance to drop at the end, like specific ones, but it should be any of them. If you focus them, then it should give you a higher chance of it dropping. If it drops a seasonal weapon from hitting a Crucible, Gambit, or whatever mode, right, it has an even higher chance to be that specific weapon. So instead of just being any of them, now you have a near guaranteed chance it'll be the auto, or a guaranteed chance it'll be the auto if it drops one. So it allows you to focus. But then it also, the biggest thing I hate about Tomb of Want is you can't get adepts. I like how the adept system works, and the farther they made it, where the farther in you go in the nether, the more chance you have an adept, or even double adepts, which is awesome. But the Tome of Want doesn't affect that, and that's where I think this would come in play. If you have the same system like the Onslaught system, where you can go into attunement and say, hey, I want to focus Luna's Howl, right? Now I have a higher chance of Luna's Howl dropping. So in this case, when you activate on like the Tomb of Want, you would activate the auto rifle, right? When it does that, right, it then drops has a chance to drop an adept while you're doing the activity, not from random activities, only when you're doing the expert mode activity, because I like how that works. The expert one's fun, it's enjoyable, and they should keep doing that. So when you do an expert, it actually focuses your loot more towards that loot as well, just like an onslaught focuses the chests for you. Same concept. I think if they mix that with the timer, with how it works now with the bar, and you can visually see the bar, because that's the problem with the timer is people didn't understand how it worked at first, plus it was a short timer, now it's a long timer, so if you put a longer base timer, and then had a bar that shows you it's charging up, so that way if you're getting off and you're like, oh look, it's going on, or if they don't want to do a timer, or if people don't like the timer, they need to add a lot more charges. Because 6 charges versus the tonic system, I get way more than 6 weapons. Way more. So between the two, technically speaking, the tonic system is better, even though it's on a timer. So they either have to increase the amount of charges you get by a lot to make it worthwhile. Again, this stuff in the future, not now. It doesn't matter now because the season's basically over. But in the future, that's what they should do, is have some sort of thing where it shows you charges, either has a timer, and then it shows the bar going up constantly. Just to alleviate, because it sucks going in your menu as much as I do. I've farmed these weapons like crazy. I go in and out constantly. And I usually farm the world weapons or any weapons like that, but it's just better to show it off this way with the auto and the episodic weapons, just to show what I meant. So yeah, they need to alleviate something where it actually makes it where you're less in your menu and you can focus farm a lot longer. But they also need to do it where it gains the onslaught effect and focuses the weapon while you're doing the activity and other activities for normal weapons. But then if you go and do the expert mode of those activities, of the seasonal activity, it will then give you a higher chance to get that specific adept weapon. So in this case, like the auto rifle like we're using for example, it is a higher chance to give you that auto rifle that's adept. I think that'd be one super cool. It allows to focus farm the weapons you want, because currently I'm trying to get the grenade launcher from the Nether, which I love the Nether, but I've done almost 100 runs of it, if not over 100 runs by now. Literally, it's not even a joke, literally. And I have not seen the God Roll Adept Adept grenade launcher once. I haven't even seen like a normal Adept. I would love a shiny Adept, but I haven't even seen a normal Adept. So they should make it where you can focus farm it. In a sense, when you equip the tome to something specific, it benefits your run while you're in there. That way you have a higher chance while you're farming to get the weapon you want. It's not a guaranteed chance, just a higher chance. So 1 out of 3 chests, you're guaranteed the weapon you're focusing, I feel like. Or maybe even 2 out of 3, potentially. Like something along those idealism. It would just make a better system. It would allow you to farm adepts a little better. Because if you think about it, that's what we already do, is we go into a nightfall, we focus a GM, we're focusing specific adept every day for that week. So why not make the same system work for the Nether? Or well, again, not just the Nether, but in general, like the activity, seasonal activity. Or make it where when you equip that weapon piece and go do the expert, it will only drop that weapon with a chance at the other weapons to drop as well. So you can farm both weapons, or 2 types of weapons, but the second one that drops is random. It'll be either a normal or an adept. But every time you complete, so in the case of the Nether, every time you complete each encounter, you guarantee the auto. It would allow better focusing. Or at least make it the final chest guaranteed it, at the very least. If you don't get it throughout it, then the final chest guarantees it. That way, at least you get one weapon. Because there's several. I've gone like 7 runs in a row and not seen a single grenade launcher of normal or adept. So, you see what I mean? Like, it'd be really cool system to at least control your loot better. And Onslaught brought a really good system like that. So, it would be really cool if they added that and then allowed it to affect the adepts in the activities specifically. I think it'd be a lot better system. I think it'd be a lot cooler, and a lot more people would be willing to farm it, knowing they have a higher chance or a guaranteed chance to get at least that weapon from that, what they're doing. And a chance that another one would be even nicer. So let's say the final chest, so 3 areas, the third area guarantees that it'll be the weapon. Those first 2 chests have a chance at it being that weapon, so a little bonus. We're working on this as we go, but that's my point. It's almost perfect, and yet it's so close yet so far in a sense. Because it is a little hard to decide, do you want timing or do you want these ritual charges? Well, the timer gives way more, whereas the ritual charges are a lot quicker. So there is a middle ground where they could add a timer, but then also have the charges at the same time as a bonus or something. Or they could have it where the timer affects, so they'd have a 2 parts. So if you get into Tome of Want, like it has these 2 sections here. Instead of these 2 sections where it shows the bonuses, they'd have 2 sections like this, where one would be like, oh, okay, 6 charges. Oh, again, I want them to be more than 6 charges. I think 6 is a really low number, should be a lot higher. But it would be 6 charges here. And then underneath it, there would be upgrade, and that would allow me to focus farm that specific weapon while I'm doing the nether activities. And if I happen to do an expert version, it'll be focus farming that specific weapon. So there should be a two-part thing to it. Where if they want to do the charges, not the timer, cool. Then that's how they do it. And then the timer could be the focus farm specifically for that weapon. And if I do the expert nether, I get the adept weapon because that's what it'll be focusing. If that makes sense. I think the system is so close to perfection, and it's such a good system right now. It really is. Like, the Tome of Wands is not bad by any means. I just feel like the charges are way too low in the sense of how it's set up. It's very easy to upgrade, which is awesome, but it's way too low. And I don't want them to make it harder to level up the bar. I want them to make it the same way it is, but just give us more charges. A lot more. Like 10, at least. Like 10 should be the least amount. And then have it where, for like an hour, if you focus on the bottom part of it, like I said, you'd have like for an hour or something, it will focus farm specifically only that weapon when you go and do the nether. So it would allow a two-part system for the tonic system to be useful and the Tome of Want, but then it would also give the uniqueness of the attunement from the same thing like Onslaught has, which we're about to get again from the other activity that's coming out in Rite of the Nine. We're also going to get a focusing system. So I think it'd be really cool for them to do stuff like that. If they balance it out right, it might take a little tweaking because it's not a perfect theory. There's some issues with it, obviously. But as a whole, I think it'd be a lot better because you know what you'd be farming for specifically, especially for the expert weapons, which the biggest problem I see with people going expert is, one, they either think they can't do it because they're too low light, which honestly, you're not. It's expert and there's way easier than you think. Two, the other issue, which is the main issue, is people say, well, we can't focus loot specifically, we want the expert weapons, the depth versions, but it takes too long to get one to drop that's the weapon you want. And I agree with that because I have that same issue. So that's the thing Bungie should do, is Bungie should allow you to focus the weapon specifically, which can drop from any activity then, if so you can do whatever, but then also, if you go and do expert mode of it, the seasonal activity, it will drop those weapons so you can focus farm that specific weapon. Because there's a lot of weapons in the seasons. There really is. So if they keep making it where a lot of them are decent or good, then it's definitely going to be worth the farm, so it's worth the activity. And if the activity is decent and fun as well, then it's definitely worth it. Which in my opinion, the Nether is probably one of the funnest activities they've added. Maybe not number one, but definitely number two without a doubt. It's really fun. I enjoy it. I love Court of Blades as well. They both side by side are amazing. So they definitely need to make a line between the two to make it where, one, the farm is a lot better, but then two, if you want to get the adept versions, you can focus farm those adepts a lot better. Anyways, that's the video. That's my opinion on it. Let me know in the comments what you think. If you think that's a good system, let me know. If you think it's a bad system, also let me know. Thanks for watching. Adios. We out. Leave a like, subscribe, leave a comment what you think. Adios. We out.